What up, dudes? It's Gaz, and welcome back to the WARFRAME video. Today we're going over a bit of a prediction for Riven disposition changes for Hildren Prime Access this upcoming Wednesday. If you didn't know this, every time a new Prime Access is released, they change the stats of already existing and new Riven mods that are already going to be in the game. So your Riven that already exists may potentially have its stats changed. We're going to go over predictions on what will happen there, because they make these changes off of basically how popular the weapon is, also how powerful the weapon is, and hopefully some other stuff besides just that. But that's what they pretty much told it's going off of. So before we get into it, make sure you check out the live stream. We'll be live tomorrow with Warframe and actually some Apex Legends too. So if you want to come play some Apex Legends with me, come stop by. Either way, let's get into it. So as far as Riven Dispo changes, what my predictions will be going off of, first we're going to look at the previous Riven Dispo changes. I'm going to talk to you about my experience as a content creator that plays this game a lot and talks to a lot of people that play it, about what I think has become more popular recently. And since it's become more popular, it will likely have its Riven stats nerfed because it's very strong and uses Rivens. But let's first go over their explanation from December 12th about what they were doing looking forward, because there's actually one little paragraph right here I want to highlight on this Riven Dispo change. So, with the recent changes to weapons, and remember, this is from December, and the dev stream in November said they were going to be adding stealth damage back to rocket launchers and Tsar and Brahma and all that stuff. So keep that in mind. We are like a couple of weeks out of that announcement. With many recent changes to weapons, explosive, semi-auto, etc., and perhaps more coming in the future, we are choosing to be more conservative than usual with our changes to avoid whiplash if things are looking different next time. Also, they did not previously do Dispo changes on Sentinel weapons, so they just like blanket made all the Hound Rivens like neutral Dispo, and they were like 0.5 Dispo, the lowest stats it can be before. Not like Hounds are actually good or anything, but yeah. Alright, so that's basically what they said. They didn't want to nerf it too much because this guy wasn't sure if AoE cell damage was getting added back, and neither were we. But we're here in like mid-March of the next year with no self-damage added back. So, that's why I'm thinking, okay, well, since they did say that they were going to, be conservative with the nerfs last time, maybe they will be nerfing AoE stuff for real this time, because we don't have self-damage added back. And honestly, I don't even know if we are getting it back. I don't think it's canceled, but it doesn't seem to be a top priority. If it gets randomly thrown in there with Deviri, that would be quite the surprise, but again, they've been telling us since November it will be happening potentially, so we'll see. So my first prediction is that AoE Rivens will get nerfed in some way. If we look at the entire Riven Dispo list right here on the wiki, which is one of the only places I can actually find this from, we look at some of the low Dispo weapons, like the Tenant Envoy, the Brahma, the Tsar. They're already at 0.6. So are they going to really nerf those below 0.6? I don't think they're going to. Like, honestly, I don't think they're going below. But we look at some other things, like the newer weapons, like the Paragale, which came out with Varuna, the Tenant Ferox, which is a weapon that came out in Lua's Prey as well. I think the Stepflows will probably not get Riven's buffed yet because it's so new. They usually wait about like one Dispo pass, and almost call her Citrine. Citrine came out in like a couple weeks ago, so I don't think her weapons will get buffed yet. But I definitely think that Varuna's weapons will. So look at the Paragale, whatever her melee was called. The Paragale is the gun. What is the melee called? The Sorrow Fang. Oh, also the Cobra and Crane Prime. Baruch's signature trash weapon. That will probably get its Riven Dispo buffed, as will whatever his pistol was called. The Aphira's Prime, expect that to get buffed. I could also see Tenant Plinks getting buffed too. They just, nerfed Pax Charge working on the shot. You don't get the super shot anymore. So, and I pretty much just stopped using the Tenant Plinks after that change. So it could use a Riven buff for sure. Aphira's Prime is going to need a Riven buff as well. I don't see Latum or Kuva Nukor getting it, even though they are very low stats. Maybe the Aggregate get a little tiny buff because it's not really super popular, but it is pretty much a red crit AoE pistol. But again, we have better stuff. We have quicker stuff to use as far as normal missions are concerned. Fire the Tsar shot. Gonna have Hunter munitions in there too. Aggregate can't really hold up with that slash procs wise. So, main prediction at first. They will actually be doing the AoE Riven nerfs that they said they were holding back on in December. if the Czar Dispo really goes down to 0.5, that's super sad. But I mean, it kills a lot of enemies in one shot. It doesn't really need a Riven in the first place. But yeah, first prediction is that. Let's look at some of these changes they did make in December as well. So it mostly was just like weapons that don't really matter getting buffs. So for example, like the Aphentis, which is Styanax's signature spear gun, got a Riven buff. Didn't change anything. The Proboscis Cernos got a little buff. Not like that was really changing anything anyway. Tenet Fluxor got a little buff. Like, these are weapons that are usable and, like, can deal good damage. Nagantaka and all that. These can deal good damage, but what's the purpose of using them when you have things that can kill, like, 20 enemies at a time, like a Czar? Or, even for specifically single target, there's going to be single target weapons that are better than, like, the Alternox, or the Aphentis, or the ALOT. Nagantaka Prime actually can do some good slash procs, and so can the Tenet Flux Rifle, but, you know, it's these, like, in-between kind of weapons. Now, I don't, not every weapon can be created equally, but we got lots of these little in-between weapons that got these buffs in December. Expect more of those. For whatever weapon that, honestly, expect an Alternox buff again. Who even cares about the Alternox? They could buff it again, and I probably would still not use it. The Aphentis also. Styanax's signature spear gun. No one's using it. It feels terrible. You need to buff it at least, like, 2 or 3 more times before I'm even interested in looking at that. So as far as those, yeah, I'd say another prediction number 2. All those little generic in-between weapons are going to probably get Riven Dispo buffs. I can see the Phantasma Prime getting another Riven Dispo buff to like 0.7 or something. For secondaries, like I said, probably Baruch Signature Pistol, but again, that's not going to really change much. And remember, they only do Riven Dispo buffs, like to the most is usually like 0.3 at most. So it would go from like, for the Tenet Diplos, for example, let's say they did a major buff of Tenet Diplos. It would go from 0.75 to like 1.05. So that kind of jump is the biggest you're going to really be expecting, or you should expect rather. So the funny thing is, these last Dispo changes, the Bala was the only thing in the game that got nerfed. Like, isn't that crazy? The Bala dagger was the only thing that got nerfed. And don't get me wrong, it's really good. It's probably the best dagger in the game. But yeah, that was the only thing that got nerfed. As far as things I expect to get nerfed this time, I'm going to tell you my experience as a content creator. The Vermisplicer kit gun has become much, much more popular over like the last 6 months, I want to say. This thing, if they do nerf AoE, which, you know, like we said earlier, they might do it, this thing, the Vermisplicer, which I have a video I can link in the description, with Vermisplicer Palmaris Splat, this kills enemies so fast. This is my main primary I use nowadays. And as you can see, a good Riven. I'm expecting this Riven to get nerfed with Hildren Prime access, as I get asked what this weapon is all the time. I see people using this weapon quite often compared to before. I see just a lot of people asking about this weapon because it kills stuff really, really fast. It can also do red crits and all that stuff. So expecting Vermisplicer primary kick to get nerfed. Maybe the secondary too, but honestly the primary one's so nice with other munitions. Getting slash procs, it's got built-in toxins, you can get viral really easily. Just like one elemental mod to get that viral. So I will link that video in the description if you guys want to check it out. But yeah, very, very nice weapon here. I'm expecting this to get nerfed. I hope they don't nerf it, but yeah. As far as melees in here, I'm really not expecting too much stuff to get nerfed. Maybe Serrata Rivens, they're so good against Corpus. But then again, you know, yeah, maybe Serrata Rivens, it would be kind of random to nerf them because it's only really used against Corpus. But yeah, this thing is pretty much a Glaive Prime with Toxin procs into the slash procs. It can one-shot level 10,000 Corpus quite easily. I could see them potentially nerfing that, although why even bother? Rob V is one of the strongest Exodia Contagion Zaws in the game, so if you use these parts, it's very nice. Actually, is this the right one? This might be the wrong Rob V Zaw. No, this is the Rob V Zaw I use, actually. Apologies. Vargeet, 2 Jai, Sikala, Rob V. Very high crit stats and good attack speed. I could see them nerfing the Dispo of this because this is the most popular Exodia Contagion Zaw because of how high the Riven stats are. If we quickly look at the Riven Dispo site, I'm not going to like flashbang you with it. Do they put the, I guess they put the melees and the Zaws in the same spot. Rob V has good stats. I don't remember the exact number, but yeah, I can see that one getting nerfed. And as far as other stuff, like I said, the newer weapons, expect those to get buffed, but the super, super new weapons, like don't expect the Chorafel to get buffed, I'd say. It's like a couple weeks old. Don't expect it to get buffed, or ever, to be honest. It's so nice and very powerful. I could see it staying at 0.5 Dispo, just like the Stropha, forever, honestly. And the Stephalos, the thing that other content creators got mad at me for calling bad, even though it's a freaking melee weapon, dude. It's got less range than the freaking Scythe. But yeah, let me just not call it bad to make you feel better. This thing is likely not going to get Rivens buffed. But yeah, it's pretty much a melee weapon shotgun anyway, so just use the Archiplasm more, honestly. Those are some of the main things I expect to get buffed. As far as other like terrible weapons, there's things that are just bad, like the Ghoul Saw. I can expect this to get buffed again. But again, DE told us they'd be making a Kuva Ghoul Saw or some variant of the Ghoul Saw when this thing came out, and everyone complained about the bad stats, the not great stance, and things like that. They owe us a new version of this Assault Saw weapon type, so I'm looking forward to that more than a Dispo buff on this thing, because it looks so cool. It just doesn't really do enough damage in everyday situations, and it also feels very clunky with the stance. So yeah, main predictions, guys. AoE might actually get the nerf they were talking about in December. We're also going to probably be getting a Vermisplicer nerf because it's become a lot more popular, and also, you know, things that are like the weapons you just don't even care about. That's part of it. No one uses these weapons. That's likely why they'll get Riven buffs. So I'll be doing a full review of the Riven Dispo buffs on Wednesday. I honestly usually prioritize those videos over like the Hildren Prime video. But yeah, expect the Hildren Prime video on Thursday or maybe on like Friday or something. But either way, guys, hope you found this video fun and helpful. I'll see you at the weekly reset tomorrow. Of course, there's nothing about Incarnon Rivens on this thing because Incarnon weapons are only like partially verified at this point. We only pretty much have confirmed on-screen information about like, was it the Kunai, the Burstin, the Bratton, and then like the Leto, and then like the Skana. So those will likely not be getting nerfed until after Incarnon adapters come out. So if you want to watch my previous video on Incarnon adapter Rivens, go check that out as well. All right, guys, I'll see you next time. Appreciate the support. Take it easy. Peace.